these changing seasons. I'm so used to everything being dark soon that got light that comes through and then bounces off of something and then ends up messing everything up. Changes everywhere. All right. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Hello to Saban, to Ruth. Good sound. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me that I should ask if the sound is good before going on and spouting everything. Hello to Bill and Brian, Suzanne, Colette. Bonjour, Paul. Let's see if I got everyone. Oh, hello to Bill Joseph as well. And hopefully I got everybody. I said hi to Suzanne. And then hello to folks that watch after the fact. I always love to see it in the. Oh, and hello. No, it did. So Jeff, did you just comment? Hello to Jeff McPhee. I will stop. I will stop my frantic searching, knowing that you're here. I do like when folks will comment and let me know that they watched after the fact. So I know Anna and Colette. Oh, hello, Gabrielle. I probably should just look and see it in the participants list, huh? It's like I could use the actual tools. And hello to Brooke. And Brooke, everyone's going to want to know if Zen Kitty is with you or not. That'll be a standard question, I imagine. And yeah, I've got my so my girlfriend got me this updated version. Oh, excellent. Yes. And Ralph's sessions are up. I did mention that in the email last week, but I probably should have mentioned it again. So yeah. And then it's not too late. Plug for Kevin Lacroix and Ralph as well. The Do Nothing Variations, which you can find. I know it's posted on. Eventbrite CA. Let's see if I can find the Eventbrite.com version of it. I would assume that it's on both, right? Crazy things that the world. Yeah, and I would say post your links, but you can't because only moderators can post links. So, oh no, doing this live was not a good. I do lots of things that are not necessarily great ideas. There's a top match. But I know that if Ruth or Paul or whoever would mention this, folks that are friends of the CEC and the CEC faculty. Oh, that's right. Brooke is a moderator. I've arrived. That's right. I totally forgot. Brooke has moderating. So anyway, I found it, and I didn't waste too much time. So yeah, I just want to make sure Kevin and Ralph, friends of the Do Nothing Project, and then as I mentioned, Kevin is part of the teaching faculty for CEC. Ralph is a teaching instructor and or a instructor, teacher and teaching training instructor for the for Unified Mindfulness, among other things. General cool guy. Ralph was probably my favoritist of the folks who helped trainees like myself when I was getting my certification back in 2019. So yeah, so I want to make sure to mention that again. Yes, and it is for Doctors Without Borders. Thank you for that, Ruth. I think I usually say I don't know, so it's good to actually have that for confirmation. And I've signed up, so you'll see me there unless there's some strange thing happens on Saturday, March 2nd. So Well, it's not that you're a know-it-all, you just know, right? I think, yeah, that's the right way to look at that. So, and then we've got the regular microphone back. So you should hear, although I can hear the fans in the laptop going, so maybe that's what you'll end up hearing. But you should hear the clock. And at some point, I'm going to post a picture of the clock. I thought about that too. So I'll post that on Leonard's so Leonard's coaching. So if somebody had asked, uh, like they were curious about what the clock looked like, and I was like, oh, I'll get you a picture at some point. And then I was like, well, maybe more people than than this one person who reached out might be curious. So definitely letting that know. And then I had this weird week where I managed to really kind of see my frustration and anger like before like I have this moment where I can tell I'm getting annoyed. I get annoyed with computers all the time, which is a occupational hazard for me. And some folks have commented. Some folks that are IT and designer, UX programmers have commented to me in the past that they enjoy that I refer to software and computing as samsara or samsara amplified in some cases. And yes, the t-shirt clock. we'll have to figure something out with the t-shirt clock. So a t-shirt with the clock on it. That's a very Flavor Flav moment there. But so now that I've lost my total thought, yes, software and anger. So I've been trying to figure out like how to sort of let all of that sort of soak in. Like I've had a few, maybe 12 days where I've been able to pull back from whatever I'm about to freak out about. And I tend to have that kind of quick anger where I think like yelling at the computer is going to help, or the garage door opener that's not working. Like if I just yell at it, that will help. And it doesn't. So I'm just getting to this point where it's kind of hilarious because it's probably what is available to a lot of people who practice mindfulness like way early on, not like 15 years down the road. But I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I have this kind of a moment where I can pump the brakes, so to speak, and back off. And I think part of it is the loving kindness pieces that I've sprinkled in now, where I've got a little bit around that. And so anyway, thank you, Gabrielle. So I've been trying to figure out how to frame this in a way that it soaks in. So I know that I'm going to screw up and yell about something at some point. So there's no point in setting up another expectation to then get violated, which then allows me to get angry, because violated expectations are often what makes you angry. But at the same time, it's one of these things that you hear. I know he's a popularizer of it, but I don't know if he is the originator of it, where you'll hear Rick Hansen talking about let the good soak in, or let something that has happened kind of like rest on that. You'll hear Jeff mention that occasionally as a prompt that gets dropped in to a meditation, where it's one of those things where you're really quick to like go, oh yeah, but that's only because I didn't drink so much coffee today, or that's only because of, and we start to sort of explain it away. And when you have that little moment, if you kind of like let it soak in, you don't need to hold on to it so tight where you're like, oh my God, I don't want to let this go ever. But yeah, so I've been trying to figure out, one, selfishly, after I say all that, how do I not let go of that, or how do I get more of this? Let the good land. Thank you. How do I get more of this? But also, how is this the thing that I can kind of be balancing around? So anyway, I'm trying to figure out what to do with this. I had recorded a voiceover thing that I was gonna release and then decided not to. But yeah, so that was a little piece at the beginning, and that's all of that, which is a bunch of words to say. I'm going to play around with a little bit more loving kindness, but I'm going to sort of steal from what is the line that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. I was going to steal some loving kindness phrases that I know are from Jack Cornfield, and I'm just saying that up front. I think they're from Jack Cornfield, and that I believe they're originals, but he also may be mixing them in, and some of them make me cringe a little bit. But we'll play around with those loving kindness phrases. We can play around with them in two ways. If there's not any warmth available, or we can't really let that good land and like kind of soak in, we can use the repetition of the phrases as a focus object. So that's one way to play around with loving kindness when you don't feel like you've got the resources to go on the other side. And then we'll have a do nothing at the end. So that's kind of our plan. So yeah, I think that's everything. So, and then somebody had said, so I don't know if someone had noticed, or somebody had asked me something about where does your striker for your bell go, and I realized that it's on this. This is actually a piston from a car that my dad and my brother cut the fender or the piston skirts off of, and that is striker. So some meaningful objects there, just sharing that with you. I think I have, let's see, I think I have a timer that I will get put together, and I'm feeling like super like folks may know Henry Rollins. He had this this thing that he used to do in spoken word, which is that he loved some of the phrases that folks would say, like instead of people don't have their S together, everything is apart. I feel like everything is apart at the moment. So just coming from work and kind of having that buzzy kind of a feel. So we got 25 minutes. We'll be on the clock. We're going to borrow liberally from Jack Cornfield. Questions, reports at the end. And let's go. All right. So we'll start the sit with a permission slip. And that is that you have permission to fall asleep, lose your concentration, and start over as many times as you need to. And if you feel like you are sort of in that spot where you start over and you are starting to get frustrated with yourself, see if you can, before you get frustrated or as you get frustrated, just allow there to be a little like you acknowledge that frustration or that impatience. And now we got our permission slip out of the way. Let's start out with our posture. Really just establishing a posture that will help you to be relatively still or upright without being uptight. Noticing if there's any tension in the body. And we're not chasing away the tension. We're just acknowledging it. Oh yeah, tension. Or we can practice our tension. Or if you like the welcome to the party, welcome the tension. And then a few deliberate breaths, breathing in through the nose And as we breathe in through the nose, that allows us to breathe low into the belly. And as we turn around and exhale, seeing if we can extend or accentuate the exhale. And briefly marking this as a waypoint, so we can always come back to where we're at right here. Just the sitting and knowing that we're sitting. Just enough concentration and clarity to know that we're sitting. And then focusing on home base just for a bit. We're not going to be here forever. So the home base could be sounds around you or sounds from my environment or the breath. You choose. And again, at the start, you gave yourself permission. Start as many times as you need to. So you notice that your attention has wandered off. Again, no big deal. Come back to our home base. And so with the phrases, and you have two options. One is, I'm just going to say, if you don't feel like offering the phrases to yourself right now, totally fine. So in the same sort of asking for a friend quality of loving kindness, think of the person who you think needs some well wishes, some friendliness, some loving kindness, and use them in your place at the moment. And the phrases are 5 phrases. I'll start out with the originals, and then we'll play around and riff on them a little bit. May I love myself just as I am. May I sense my own worthiness and well-being. May I trust this world. May I hold myself in compassion. May I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion. So these are a little longer than normal. And there's 5 phrases, so you're always welcome to sort of choose 3. May I love myself just as I am. May I sense my own worthiness and well-being. May I trust this world. May I hold myself in compassion. May I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion. So we'll pause with the longer ones and let you explore those a little bit, and then we'll riff a bit. So go ahead and actually I'll give you one more round. See if they catch, and if not, I'll give you some shorter ones in a moment. May I love myself just as I am. May I sense my own worthiness and well-being. May I trust this world. May I hold myself in compassion. May I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion. And so after we've done the longer versions, sometimes it's enough to have just a single word that kind of triggers a bit of the warmth. And if it doesn't, still that word can be used as a sort of focus for concentration. So if we were to drop our 5 down to just a single word, love, sense, trust, hold, and meet. Love, trust, sense, hold, and meet. And again, if you want to pick 3 from the 5, maybe love, sense, and hold resonate more with you at the moment. So playing with that briefly. Let's just shift to 3 of the phrases that are centered to ourselves or offerings to ourselves. May I love myself just as I am. May I sense my worthiness and well-being. May I hold myself in compassion. And you can choose the pace and tone that is the most sort of pleasing to you. May I love myself just as I am. May I sense my worthiness and well-being. May I hold myself in compassion. And if you're in a spot where you can kind of feel stable enough kind of emotionally to think about this, then I offer go ahead and play around with this idea. If not, you can continue to keep on keeping on. So whatever you shifted to, go ahead and keep doing that. But if you're in a spot where you can feel like, oh, whatever my reaction to these phrases are is just information. It's neither good nor bad. So if I feel a sort of clenching or hesitance when I repeat the phrase, may I love myself just as I am, just knowing that is information. And if you offer the phrase, may I sense my own worthiness and well-being, if you can feel the kind of ripple that is sort of your inner critic citing all of the times that you weren't worthy, offering a little bit of that and then bringing your attention maybe back to your home base, get a little bit of stability. You can always stop. May I hold myself in compassion. That one might resonate, but you might not feel like you got the energy for that compassion at the moment. So where we're at with the loving kindness phrases can almost be this little bit of emotional debugging. And again, if simpler phrases feel better, you can always shift to those too. And then just before we shift to our opportunity to do nothing, if it feels right, kind of offer yourself a bow or stretch up and settle back into the posture, just as a bit of a embodied reset. And in doing that, we can let go of the practice, let go of the technique, put that off to the side. And then here's our opportunity to do nothing. So again, if we feel like we've been pedaling and we've been riding our bike up to the top of a hill here, this is the part where we get to coast down the other side. And if you catch yourself kind of chasing along the mind or trying to sort of impose an agenda on your sort of sensory reality at the moment, just seeing if you can nod to that and then letting that go. And just as soon as you let that go, it might start back up again. And again, we gave ourselves permission to let our sit be however it was going to be. So just letting go again. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for spending 38 minutes with me. And then if there happens to be any fruits of our practice that come about, or any merit from the fruits of our practice that come about, may they be for all sentient beings. Thank you. Curious reports or anything that came up for folks? I know there's only 6 minutes until the top of the hour. Some of us have a foreign language class to go to, I know. So, and then I think that, so a little bit of background. July 2017, I think, is when Jack Cornfield had posted those loving kindness phrases to it should be on his website. It should be on his website, but I think I pulled them off of his Sangha announcements email, like back in the day when I was subscribed to the newsletter. So I said, some of those don't land for folks. I think the "May I Trust This World" is probably the one that might be really tough for some folks. The other one is, I think, although I didn't ask, I can't ask Jack Cornfield, the last phrase, "May I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion." I always wonder if that is ignorance, like in the Buddhist term of ignorance, or if that's just like garden variety ignorance. So, okay, so trust, hold, and keep worked for you, Paul. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. I don't know for sure. So I use the single phrase as a way when my brain is tired of repeating the whole phrase. And I always am a little leery of that because I think it might be a way for me to shortcut the actual concentration practice itself. So, okay, thank you, Saban. And the hold myself in compassion, I for some reason the two phrases that land differently for me are the "May I sense my own worthiness and well-being," or "May I sense my worthiness and well-being." I think I keep putting the "own" part in there. Oh yes, you can ask him if you'd like, Brooke. Here, I might be able to find that. And let's see, really quick. It'd be cool to have a link, although I don't know that we need a link. But in my world, I do. I think this is the actual blog. It looks like a pretty good hit, but I haven't read it completely. It has the phrases as they are, but it's a little bit newer. So, is he leading a meditation? Maybe not. Brooke, is that a teaching session? Is that a Spirit Rock Wednesday night thing? Yes, that's okay. That's what I thought. So Brooke is in the mindfulness teacher training that I believe is co-led by Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock. I think it's pronounced Tara, right? Not Tara. But yeah, so but yeah, if you get anything back, Brooke, let me know. I'd be eager to hear. You're incredibly welcome, Colette. And then I know as we get close to the top of the hour, folks are going to have to head off in their different directions. I am the host for the Do Nothing Project on Sunday night. So yeah, if you, okay. I think that's an excellent idea, Paul. That I was just going to say, I'm looking for ideas, and the Lebowski meditation would be great. Yes, I will definitely do that. I have a version of a Lebowski meditation I did back in the pandemic on a Wednesday day that I really like, and so maybe I should do that. And hey, Jason Hansen, hello. Yeah, that's great to hear that the ending with "Do Nothing" is landing. That's super cool. that was a hunch to add that as the format for this. So glad that is working out. I do think for some people, doing a loving kindness practice and then not doing anything might not be the best match for where you're at. So that's a little bit of what I'm playing around with, is the sort of you are the person sitting there. So can you trust that you're going to choose something that isn't super avoidant? And if it is avoidant, who cares? Then that's great, because if you're avoiding something, you may need more support and more resources and more assistance around. So yeah, I don't know that I think loving kindness. I don't know that I'll keep the loving kindness beyond next week. So I am playing around with a beginning that is a longer do nothing. That I'm kind of playing. Okay. So Ruth does like that too. Interesting. That experiment was kind of a Jeff idea from September 2019. I did this public guidance, and he said, well, why don't you try this? And then I've kind of kept it, and I'm glad that it's landing for folks. And if it isn't landing for folks, you can always send me messages. You can always reach out on Instagram as well. So yeah, you really can't. I do feel like there's an immense amount of growth opportunity for do nothing, or even from the Dutch concept of Nixon, where you're just kind of sitting and not doing anything. I think there's something remarkably what is the right word? There's this potential of being able to do that. That's just being able to sit. If nothing else, then you can prove Blaise Pascal wrong, right? Where people can't sit in people can't sit in a room alone with their own thoughts, and you can say, well, I can. So all right, I will see y'all on Sunday. Thank you very much, Paul, for the idea. I really like that as an idea. You might see this. I'll have to launder my shirt between now and then. And hopefully I'll shave by then. And have a fantastic rest of your week.